We are recording now. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to this workshop today. We did a poll a couple of weeks back where we asked our users on what they want to see. So the most common recurring theme that we actually saw was that users want to understand more on how action works. So we decided that we can do something around actions. It's one of the features that is quite powerful and could be used in a lot of various ways. One of the powerful way we can use actions we're gonna see today being demoed by Matías. Um, but just a bit of introduction about myself and how this call is gonna go. So I am Rajat. I am the community engineer at Citadel. You must have seen me answering your questions or writing you back, or maybe missed some of your questions as well. But this is who I am. And you can tag me all the time, all things related to Zitadel on Discord. And with me on my right side here, we have Matías, who's gonna do the demo. So that's how it's gonna happen. And after the demo, we will have a Q&A call as well, Q&A section as well, where people can ask questions related to the demo or anything in general. We also have Federico in the call, who also works at Zitadel. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask that in the chat, and we will be able to help you out while Matthias does his thing. So I will put myself on mute and let Matthias do his thing. So Matthias, good luck, and let me know if you need anything. I will go quieter, and maybe you can take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Rajat. Everyone, my name is Matías. I work as a sales engineer here in Zitadel, and today what we're going to demo is just-in-time migration flow that we devised using Actions V2. Out on the screen, we will go through the knowledge article that I wrote, and then we will go through the scripts, and we will test the actual flow. There's no script for this. I will jump from screen to screen, so please bear with me. And if you have any questions or something is unclear, please post your questions in the chat. So, just data migration. You may or may not know that when migrating users into Citadel, you can do a bulk migration. So you could migrate all of your users into Citadel, including their password hashes. But there are sometimes some reasons why you cannot do this. For example, if you don't have access to the password hashes in the external database, or maybe the passwords are hashed with a hashing algorithm that's not supported by Citadel for the migration itself. So if you want to avoid users having to reset their passwords, you would want to do something like this, that's just-in-time migration, so that when users logged in using Citadel, they will be migrated just in time. They will be provisioned as they log in. So basically, this is what I mentioned, the reasons why you would want to use just-in-time migration. Let's scroll down. This is a high-level overview of what the flow with actions actually does. I'll go to the high-level overview and not much into the detail here, because then I'll actually show you how to set up the targets, the actions, and the flow. So basically, when a user starts to log in on Citadel in the hosted login v2, they will enter their username or email. Something important to note here, this is built to work with the login v2, with endpoints that are used inside the login v2. So this doesn't work with login v1. Login v1 uses different APIs for the flow. So yeah, something to take into account. You need to be in the latest login version. If the user already exists in Citadel, so no migration is needed, we will skip the actions. And this is based on a metadata flag that is set when the user is created in Citadel. The user doesn't exist, Citadel will trigger the action. Inside that action, we will call your legacy system. You need to expose some way for like inside the action, you need to expose some way for us to check if the user actually exists. So it can be an API that interacts with the legacy database. At this step is an unauthenticated user, so it's just retrieving the user profile, checking if the user actually exists on the legacy system. So the adapter fetches the legacy profile, creates the user inside Zitadel without the password yet. Like I said, the user is not authenticated at this point, and move forward to the next step. Zitadel will request the password, the user will enter the password, the adapter, again, there's another endpoint that needs to check the validity of the password. So you would send username and password to your legacy database, for example. If the password matches and the user is able to log in, you just return a response, like a successful response. Since we already have the password at this step, we just need to, in the next step, update the user profile in Zitadel with the correct password. The flow ends. And for the user, this would look like a normal login flow. Like they just go to the login page, enter their username, next, enter password, next. They are logged in and get back to your application. They don't notice anything about the flow itself. A few things. Well, this is describes what's actually happening with the actions. I'll show you now how to create these targets and actions, but basically, the first action, when you enter the username, the hosted B2 login calls the list users endpoint to check if the user exists in your instance. So what we do is, if the user doesn't exist, we create the user profile, modify the response, and give it back to Zitadel using the actions B2, so that from the Zitadel point of view, in this login flow, the user always existed. And then on the next step, in the set session call, it's basically sessions in the login B2 are like externalated. You first set a session with the username, then you add another identifier with the password, or it could be passkeys. In this case, obviously, we are migrating users with passwords. And the same goes for MFA. It's another call to set session. So we're intercepting this set session call to check the password against the legacy system. If the password matches, then we do update the user. Instead, if the password doesn't match, the user will see an error in the login screen as usual. Like if you enter the wrong password, you will get the wrong password error. Now, here you have the, I pasted, by the way, in the chat, the link for this knowledge article. You have here a link to the repo with some action examples that we have. These examples use Alpha workers, but you have access to the code here. So you can use the provider of choice. If you want to deploy to a different provider, another serverless function, you can do that. Or if you prefer to create your own backend and expose the API endpoints, the important thing here is that you expose those endpoints to create the targets in Zitadel for this flow, for the actions we do. So let's go back. And this is, again, a description of the scripts and what happens. I'll skip this for now. There's a description of the M variables that you will need for the actions to work. You will need, obviously, the domain of your Zitadel instance against which you will be working. An access token that can be a personal access token. It's for a service user that needs at least these two permissions, these two manager roles in Zitadel, or Gowner for the organization where the users will be migrated into, and the I am login client manager role, because we are going to be calling set session and customizing a session for, in this case, when the password is set. So that's why you need this role. The org ID is for the organization where the users are going to be created. And then the 3 signing keys. Maybe you attended the previous session regarding actions, maybe you didn't. But basically, with actions, since it's a webhook, Zitadel during this flow will call an endpoint that you specify. We send, when you create a target, you get a signing key in return, and when the action is triggered, Zitadel will send a signature header. So in your backend or serverless function, you will need the signing key to verify the signature, just to make sure that actually Zitadel calling your endpoint. So the next step would be creating the targets, getting the signing keys, so that you can deploy these to Cloudflare workers. There's a script for deployment utility. If you wanna make a test using our example with Cloudflare workers, you can check the README for the deployment utility. It describes obviously the requirements. You need to create an account in Cloudflare. You need to get some details like a API token and account ID. So you clone this repo, and with its details, you can start deploying these scripts into a Cloudflare worker. I'll show you how it looks like in the Cloudflare console in a moment. So before you can get the signing keys, you need to create the webhooks. We have a Postman collection if you want to check. It has the example for creating a target. In my case, to showcase now, I already created the targets. This is the payload I use. Basically, I can quickly show you just with a sample one. I'll create another target that I won't be using, but to show you the response you get the signing key here. And that's what you need to save into your local project before you can deploy it to Docker. So like I mentioned, you need 3 targets, one for listening users. That's when they enter the username, one for the session that's updating the password, and a third one that I didn't mention. It's a set password. This is in the case users might forget their password. So maybe they already forgot the password they had in the legacy system. So when they log in with Citadel, they will enter their username. They don't know the password. They will click on the password reset link. So they will get an email with the password reset link. They will go through a password reset flow, and this action basically just updates the metadata flag in the user to signal that the user is fully migrated now. That's it. Citadel handles the password reset flow itself. So next time, since the metadata flag signals the user as fully migrated, the next time the login, these actions will be skipped. That's all the metadata flag does. Okay, once you create the targets, you need to create the actions. In Citadel, you have 2 parts for actions v2. One is the target that you're going to call. So it's the endpoint and the type of target. Again, this is all described in the documentation. You have REST call. When it's the type REST call, Citadel expects a payload and status code back. We check both the payload to see if there was some modification to the flow, and the status code if it was successful or not. If it's REST webhook, Zitadel doesn't care about the payload. We just check the status code to see if it was a successful request or failure. And REST async is something that you run, like, for example, you want to react to certain events, but you don't make any changes to the flow in Zitadel. You just react on your own, and Zitadel doesn't expect any response back. So once the targets are created, you create the actions based on the instructions that we played here. For the set session, it says it's an action of type request. For the session service set session, so it's already here, but it will be a request type of action for the session service set session method, and then you choose the target that's going to be called for this action when it triggers. It's the set session one. Since I already created it, I'm not going to do it again. Everything, by the way, that can be done in the console UI can also be done programmatically, so you can call the APIs. It's also in the Postman collection. I just did it here in the console because it was faster to showcase. So once you have the actions, once you have everything set up, I created this just-in-time migration organization for the demo. There are no users in my organization right now. So we're in the script, you have some test users profiles, because by the way, this script is using a mock database. Obviously, it's not reaching out to an actual legacy service, but right now I just have an object with a couple of users for testing. So obviously, when you create these just-in-time migration flow connections in your own end, you will have to provide the logic for reaching out to the actual API that will be checking for the user profile and checking for the passwords. Right now, I have everything hard-coded. So, for example, this legacy user, this will be the profile that will be created in Zitadel, and this will be the password that I will be checking. So I have Cloudflare workers here. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot. Here, I had some placeholder URLs because I don't know, like usually you don't know from the start what's the URL you will get from the from Cloudflare. If it's your own backend, you obviously already know from the start what's the endpoint you created. From Cloudflare, you could create the webhooks. Then once this is created, you go into Cloudflare to the worker, you go to settings, you will grab the URL and you can patch the target to the correct URL. It's not hard. Let's go to observability. I'll open an incognito window here. I have a React application running localhost just to show the login flow. And let's see the events when the actions run. That's the clip. So the first user I had was, I have a bunch of users, and this is the code I'm running. I deployed this Cloudflare worker with these users. So a couple of mock users, all with the same password, just for the test. So let me check. Let's do legacy user, and let's see the events. So as you saw, I had no users in my organization. The action for list users is being triggered. The user doesn't exist or didn't exist in Citadel until that point. And my action created the user. If we go to my instance and refresh this page, I have now legacy user. And the action, here's the ID, 6. Let me check here. 6. It's the user that was just created. There's a metadata flag migrated from legacy, migrating because just created the profile, but I don't have the password yet. So if we go to the next step, let's see if everything's working okay. Made that bit correctly. In the next step, we get a call to set session. This would check the password against your legacy system. In this case, it's against the object of users, the object with the different user profiles that they have hard-coded. Check the password matches. So it updates the user profile in Zitadel with the correct password. And for the user, they just log in normally. It also updates the metadata flag on the Zitadel end. It was migrating, now it's migrated true. So next time, if the same user goes and logs in, let's log out. Begin again. It was legacy user. Continue. You will see that the set session is skipped because the user is already migrated. So basically, we just skip the action execution because the user was already migrated. We do that based on the metadata flag that was set on the user profile. And that's basically the flow we devise to solve this just-in-time migration scenario using actions v2 in Zitadel. Again, all the information and description of the flow is in this knowledge article that I wrote. I pasted this in the chat. Yeah, I think if you go now to the chat, you will be able to see the link. And this also links to the repository, GitHub repository for the Cloudflare workers. You go to just-in-time user migration README to check the steps and requirements that you need to follow to have this working. And if you just want to check the code and write your own implementation in your existing solution, your existing backend, your existing API, you can check the code here. In this case, it's just a Node.js script. It's a single one, but it has 3 paths. That's why with Cloudflare Workers, you have, since this is a single script, it's a single URL. But when I created the targets, I added these 3 paths to create the 3 different targets for the 3 different operations. The is users when the user enters the username, set session when they enter the password, set password if they had to reset their password. And you will see the code. This is for the signature verification. Then you have some helper functions that you see, and finally the actual functions that handle the actions themselves. So this is the code that you'll want to adapt if you choose to do your own implementation with your backend. This is all public in GitHub, so you can check, you can access it. And the other thing I mentioned was the deployment utility script that you can also check for deploying this to Cloudflare if you choose to maybe give it a try using Cloudflare Workers. You can create, like I created a free account in Cloudflare, and this is running on my free account. So you don't really need a subscription to test this out. Same goes for Zitadel. You can create a free account. You can sign up for free Zitadel Cloud if you want to test this out. I think that was pretty much it. I think it covers the entire flow.
Okay. So first of all, thank you, Matías, for the demo. And Salman seems to have a question. Salman, you can type it up in the chat, and we can take a look or like answer you just here. So we cannot invite you on the stage, but you can put it in the chat, and then we can take it from there. So we will wait for you to type in, and yeah. Okay, so the question that they have is, I'm implementing JIT migration for my company, and I'm facing an issue when creating a user with the action. When the user enters the password, I get a password reset email. So Matías, you want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, if it's in the login v2, unless you purposefully click on the reset password link, you won't get an email. So I guess this is surfacing from the action itself. We would have to check, yeah, what's being called from your action. Are you implementing the exact same script that we have, or how are you implementing this just-in-time migration for your company? Or also, are you getting a password reset email or the password or the confirmation for the password that was updated? Because that's also something that some people have asked about. Like there's a setting in Citadel notifications that users will get an email notifying them that their password. That's the thing. This is the email. The password change notification. You can disable it under the organization settings, notifications. you have this, is that the only setting that we have here under this tab, it's the password change notification. You can disable it, so users won't get notified when the password is updated. And that should be it. I hope that answers your question. I'm still sharing my screen, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's fine. I think he's still typing. That's fine.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's under settings. It will be on the organization where the users live. It will be under settings, notifications, password change. You can just disable this, and users won't get notified when you update their passwords. This also means like for normal password reset flow, they would usually get two emails. One is the password reset email with the link. They would go to the password flow, and once they finish the flow, they just get this email notifying them that the password was successfully updated. If you disable this, they won't get a second email, but that usually is not an issue, I guess. Let me read the question. Mine is related to just migration, but I have another action for token enrichment, and I'm facing an issue with the issuer of my token being my service address. Any idea what is causing that? Is this by any chance token exchange flow? Like, are you doing token exchange? Or is it just a regular interactive login? You mentioned the issuer of your token in your service address. Is this a separate question? If this I'm talking the token endpoint. Okay. Never mind. You mentioned the issuer of your token is being the service address. Is this I guess you can tell me a bit more details about your environment. Is this a self-hosted environment? Because it might be related to the reverse proxy and the headers that you're sending. So there are in that setup, there are some headers that you need to set for this to work properly. Maybe, yeah, I'd have to ask you for a snippet of your Zitadel configuration where you set these headers, and then share the correct documentation. So maybe I'm sure that I'm passing per header, but for some reason you're getting it wrong. Sure. Okay. So yeah, I think we will need to express it further. So maybe we can create a thread and we could discuss in more depth, because yeah, I'll have to ask for you for details about the configuration and then answer based on that. So that's probably not something we should be doing late here. Just sharing details about configuration. So yeah, maybe we can open a separate thread, right, Rajat? Yeah, no. Yeah, thank you. We can discuss in thread. Yes, Rajat, can you answer that one? I think it will be uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, so we are recording this session, and probably by tomorrow we can put it out. Yeah, so it was about actions V2 in case Buzzy B if you missed it, and Matías did a presentation on how to migrate users just in time. And right now we are having a Q&A, open-ended Q&A. So if you have any questions regarding the demo, well, you already missed it, but if you have any other questions that you want to ask, feel free to ask, and we'll try to help you in here. So all good.
Yeah. You can check the video later, but there's also a knowledge article. If you scroll up a little bit in the chat, you will see the link for the knowledge article that describes the flow step by step, and a link for the GitHub repository where we have this is the knowledge article that I mentioned that describes the entire setup. And then there are links for the GitHub repository where we have the scripts and how to deploy this to Cloudflare workers, but also you have access to the scripts in case you want to adapt this to your existing solution, maybe another hosting provider for serverless functions, or maybe your own backend and you expose an API endpoint. So everything is described both in the knowledge article and the README for the just-in-time user migration setup with actions. And everything is here, including the link for the Postman collection that you can use to create the webhooks. So yeah, you should have all the information here, but you can check the video for the explanation and examples that we did if you're interested.
No, sure.
I already comment out loud just in case for the video, but you mentioned that you were discussing just migration the other day and thinking about implementing it with Zitadel, reading the knowledge article, the tooling and examples on awesome. Thank you for that. Great work. Thank you for reading the article, and I hope it's helpful. If you have any specific questions about the flow or you run into any issues during the implementation, please make a post here in community and we will help you with that. I think I can stop sharing the screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I think we can stop here because I think what we wanted to do, we were able to do. And we had a couple of interesting questions that we were able to answer. So first of all, thank you, Matías, for the demo. It was very nice and very informative. Now I have to go back and edit it. So looking forward for that. And everyone else, thank you for joining. This video should be out tomorrow. So in case if you missed something, you can feel free to watch it on YouTube, and I will make a post about it on our announcement channel so that once it's out, you will know about it. So thanks a lot, everyone, and see you next time with a new demo. And especially thanks to you, Matías, for doing everything for us. So see you guys in the next one. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.